Steve Chapman in the house.
Been some time.
Yeah, we missed 2 weeks in a row. What's up with that?
Yeah, well, I don't think everyone knows. I think was it last week? My mother-in-law died.
Yeah,
which
that's
was
pretty serious.
Really weird. Really not that weird. But it is what it is. So, and then COVID has just been a nightmare for us down here. I mean, it's been a nightmare.
It's crazy.
So
it's one of those weird things where you hear one thing and then everything's good, then everything's not good, then everything's good again, and everything's not good.
Yeah, it's the Monster Bass roller coaster is what I'm calling it. Some months it's really good, and then other months it's really shit.
It's crazy.
So we haven't really, we talked a little bit, but we haven't really talked that much because I want to hear about the tournament fishing. I know some of it because I listened to some of the show, but I wanted to know. I have some questions, but if you can tell me how it went and what the stuff was, I would love to hear.
Okay, sure. I went and fished. It's a Major League Fishing Toyota Series event. Major League Fishing Toyota Series is equivalent to the BASS Opens.
Okay.
It's just their Open Series. Pros and co-anglers. I always fish those as co-anglers. I always have. I'm thinking about doing the other. If it weren't so expensive to run that boat, I think they're charging about $1,800 for the boaters to fish that thing, where a co-angler pays, I think, about $550. So that's a lot less. Now the winnings are way different, obviously, but tournament fishing is a losing game. I mean, It just is. There's a very, very slim slice of the fishing public that can make it worth their time financially. So
yes.
Me and a bunch of buddies, I got probably 4 or 5 solid buddies that we fish a lot of these as co-anglers that we have over the years. And we've all got boats. We all own boats. We all know how to fish out of a boat. But most of us are like, nah, it's just not worth the money. It's not worth the investment. So what my strategy is I pick bodies of water that I normally don't get to fish. And I'll pick 2 or 3 or 4 of those a year and go fish as a co-angler. If I win something, great. If I don't, well, I feel like I'm getting a great opportunity to go fish some water that I don't normally fish with someone who hopefully knows how to fish the water. That doesn't always pan out. But, I've gone on a lot of guide trips all over the country. And there are 2 types of guides. There might be more types. But one type of guide is a guide who's in business to help the customer. And he spends his whole entire day trying to help you get on fish, catch fish, learn new fishing techniques, that kind of stuff. That's one type of guide. There is another segment of fishing guides, and it's a huge part of the fishing guide business, what they are is they just want to fish all the time. They want to fish, 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 fish. And they said to themselves, man, if I work a real job, I can't fish. What could I do? What could I do so that I get to fish every day? And they say, I know, I'll be a guide. And they go out and they get a boat and they start a guide business, and they spend more time during the day fishing themselves than they do helping you fish. And those guys are infuriating, and it's amazing how many of them there are out there. And you'll pay on average $400 or so to go on a guide trip for 8 hours, and for 4 hours it's like $375, $400. You pay somewhere between $350 and $500 to go out on a guide trip for the day. Well, you can pay $500 as a co-angler And if you make the cut, fish literally 3 solid days with different guys, learning as much or more as you would with a guide. Plus, if you go a couple of days early, you can go practice with some of them. So you can get a whole week's worth of fishing for $500 plus, you know, your instead of what a guide costs you for one day. In fact,
there's a lot of guides down here that when you go saltwater fishing, keep going.
Do what?
Oh, no. Guides down here, when you go saltwater fishing, a lot of them will cast for you and set the hook and then hand the pole off to you.
Yeah. What good is that?
Yeah. Most people, like when you first go saltwater fishing, there's certain things that you're looking for in the water, and your eyes don't get accustomed to that shadow, or heaven forbid, you don't have a good pair of polarized sunglasses on. Then you're not seeing anything on the water.
Yeah.
But I know there's tons and tons of people that, because I did, like, literally at one point in time, I probably had 500 or 600 guide web pages that I was keeping track of and doing updates for. And then I would go fishing with some of them, but a lot of them, they would take me out and they would kind of question, like, is this guy really know what he's doing? And they would overcast over my ear with a shrimp or something, and you'd be like, and they'd be like, "Here you go, Steve." I'm like, "Are you? No. You set the hook on that fish. You get to bring it in. I don't mind you fishing over top of me, but if you hook it, you're bringing it in. That ain't my fish."
Yeah. Well, you know, this is funny. Booster says he had a guide that did that to him on Pickwick last fall. I went on a guide trip at Pickwick years ago and I signed up with one of the top, most well-known guides at Pickwick Lake. His name is Roger Stegall, and he's apparently an amazing stick on Pickwick. And I researched the guides, and I was like, "Oh yeah, I want to go fish with that dude. I want to learn what he knows." So I pay my money. I drive all the way down to Alabama, which I was happy to do because I love down there anyway. But I drive all the way down there, and the night before, he tells me, "I'm overbooked. Sorry." He says, and I've had several guys do this to me before. They say, "I'm sorry, I'm overbooked, but I got a fantastic guy that works for me. He's going to be with you tomorrow. It's going to be a great experience." Well, that ticked me off first, but there wasn't anything I could do about it. I could have pitched a big fit, I guess, and demanded my money back. But I'd already driven from Missouri to Alabama. I'm already down there, you know. So I'm like, okay, I'll go out with this guy. So 5 a.m., I'm supposed to meet him on the water. But I don't know where on the water. And what Roger says is he'll give you a call. Don't worry. So 5 a.m., I drive to the lake, general area where I think he's going to be. I wait till 6, nothing. I wait till 6:30, nothing. I get on the phone. I call Roger. "Roger, what is going on, man?" He said, "What do you mean? He hasn't contacted you?" I said, "No, I haven't heard a peep out of him." So he says, "Hold on, let me get on the phone with him." So he puts me on hold, makes the call, gets back on with me, and he says, "I can't reach him either." He said, "Let me tell you where his address is. Why don't you drive over to his house?" So I drive over to his house. He gives me the address, drive over there. The dude's asleep. He is at home freaking asleep. Had a hangover. He'd been out. No telling what he'd been doing all night. I was like, "Are you freaking kidding?" He's like, "Oh, man, I'm so sorry. I'll take you out. It'll be great. So we go out. We don't catch a frigging fish all day. He doesn't know where the fish are. He's on the phone calling us. "Hey, anybody know where there's any fish?" Hey, yeah. I'm like, I was so ticked off, man. So I'm never going to Roger ever again. I'm never going to give him my money. But it is just amazing what some of these guides, they pretend they're guides, and all they really want is either some extra money or they want to fish all the time. And they even see you as a customer. Well, it's a necessary evil. I got to take him out because I can't afford to do it otherwise.
Have I ever told you my Yellowstone fly fishing story?
I don't think so.
The following story is not embellished at all. There's zero embellishment on this following story. So So before I met Sonia, I was with another girl. We decided we were going to go to Yellowstone. We had went to Yellowstone years before, and I went fly fishing and did really good. But I kept running into the people that kept saying there was a guy that was in West Yellowstone, but he was at the north entrance of Yellowstone, and he wrote the book on fly fishing inside of Yellowstone. Do you want to answer that real fast?
I don't know. I don't even know about them. Do you know them? Uh-oh, your signal may be cutting out.
Yeah, I think it's all right now. I don't know. Rush was good months and months ago, but I don't subscribe to them anymore.
Yep, I've never subscribed to them. That's one I have not subscribed to.
Yeah, it was a lot.
All right, so this sounds like a great story. You went and you found an amazing fly fisherman that knew the deal.
He wrote the book on how to fly fish Yellowstone. I'm not joking. He wrote the book on how to fly fish. So I called him. We decided we're going to go to Yellowstone. I call him probably 6 months in advance and say, look, on this date, I'm coming down. I want to pay you right now for a full day of fly fishing. I don't want to leave anything to chance. I want to pay for it right now. So he's like, okay, sure. We make the whole date. So I'm not joking, 6 months in advance. So about a month before we leave, I see my phone come up and it's like, this guy's name. And I answer the phone. I'm like, hey, what's up? He's like, hey, look, I have to charge you another $1,000 to go fishing.
What?
Now, no lie. I'm fishing. I've already paid him $475 for the day. Maybe now this was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
I paid him $475 in advance 6 months ago, 6 months ahead of time. So he calls me and says, I got to charge you another $1,000. I'm like, what do you mean you have to charge me another $1,000? He said, well, it looks like the salmon fly hatch is going to happen on the day that you're here. And they only live for 3 days, and they're bugs about this big, and it's the most insane fishing during that time. I'm like, well, I just got really lucky. You have to honor this.
Yeah, like, absolutely.
No, I don't. I'll cancel because I have other people that'll pay me $1,200 to go fishing. I'm like, look, we've got to come up with something here. Really, what really was said before that was I said, your website? And he goes, yeah. I said, now this is when I was doing only websites for guides. I said, look, I'm going to send, and I'll be really honest, 700 porn site links to your website. You will never, ever get ranked on Google for the rest of your life. I will destroy your search engine ranking.
Oh, man.
And so, because I'm really irritated. Because, by the way, in the process of this, I had called like 10 other guides, and everybody's busy. Because I thought, well, I was only going fishing for 1 day. I've got 10 days in there. I should go another day with a guide. So we come up to the agreement that if it's that good, I'll only fish for half a day. I'll rent his gear, and I'll buy every fly that I lose, every salmon fly that I lose. They're like this big. So he says to me, you're going to have to buy about 60 or 70 flies, and they're $4 each. I'm like, sure, whatever I need to do. So we get on this boat, and it is flat out insane. I mean, you lift up the rod, you lift it up like this, and drop it down in any line of current, and you just snap it up, and you got a fish.
Wow.
I mean, I can't even tell you the amount of fish I caught. So in the middle of this, well, he brought out like a box, like a whole box of salmon flies, and he ties one on. I rent a rod from him for $15. Yeah. I buy some leader for $10, and then he hands me these flies, and he's like, however many you use out of here, that's what you do. He goes, let me tie it on for you. I go, no. Nobody ties my knots. So I Palomar knot it and lick it and squeeze it, make sure it's all good. Go the whole day. Don't lose one fly the whole morning. Nothing can break me off. I snag a tree, I wiggle, it comes out. I mean, it's like the greatest day of fishing ever. So he ends up pulling over the side of the Yellowstone, the river, and he ends up making a shore lunch. And in the middle of the shore lunch, I'm out there fly casting upwind, and I end up catching like this 22-inch brown trout, and it's the most gorgeous fish I've ever seen in my life. So I walk back, I eat for those that don't know me, I eat ham sandwich and peanut butter jelly. So I eat a ham sandwich that he makes, and then I say to him, hey, look, why don't you back? If you can get somebody else to come in the afternoon and you can make another $600 or $700, do it, because I can't feel my shoulder. I've caught that many fish. So he brings me over to the side, and I get somebody to pick me up, and he ends up going fishing. So I end up giving him, I don't lose one fly, so I have to give him $4 for the one salmon fly that's on the rod. So I give him the $4, and then I leave. Now I will tell you, he did get revenge on me.
He did, huh?
He did. I had given him a camera to take pictures of me, like turning around and holding fish, like,
Yeah.
all happy. This guy took 48 pictures of me releasing fish, so all you see is my fat ass on the side of the boat releasing fish. I never got one fish in my hand in all of the 130 fish I caught that day.
Holy crap.
And it was just like it was too funny, because he was so confident I was going to lose like $300 worth of salmon flies, and then I ended up giving him $4 more, and and then of course I bought one of his. I have a whole stash of like people I've met that have written books, and I have them all over here. I had a book, and he like signed his name, and if the book is the size of my hand, his autograph is like this big, and I'm like, what the hell? You couldn't have signed it better? I paid $30 for this stupid book. But it was too funny. It's one of those, I didn't send any porn links. I want to make that very clear. I never sent any porn links to the thing.
Good. Glad to hear that. So at least he had you on fish. So
you didn't have to do anything, dude. I mean, it was like
if you're in a guide trip catching fish, it's a success.
Yeah.
Okay. I had another guide at Gunnersville one year that literally his boat motor was broken. He could not get on plane. So we literally putzed around the lake all day because he couldn't get on plane. And you could tell this guy was starving. He did not have a single lure that was not rusty.
Oh.
It was terrible. He was a really nice guy. I felt for him, but man, his equipment was old, worn out, rusty. His boat was falling apart. Couldn't get on plane the whole day. It was a deal, man.
When you go fishing with someone, do you bring your own fishing poles though? I mean, I bring everything.
It depends. Usually what I'll do is I'll bring, depending upon where I go, in the country. If I'm flying, usually I make sure they've got equipment and I won't bring it. But a lot of times I'll bring my own. And if I go down there and I see what they've got, I may use their stuff. Just depends.
Yeah. When I'm here, like I'll go with some buddies that are guides, Red Ed over in Homosassa. I usually bring my own stuff. And then, I made a huge mistake. We recently had that Hometown Heroes Alliance video stuff we were doing at the Barramundi place.
Oh yeah.
And I got there, and my little 10-pound braid was as soon as my lure hit the water and I got a bite, I did not get one fish. I mean, I set the hook and it was broke. I lost so many lures that it wasn't even funny. I actually fished Pickwick last couple of years ago, and when I was there, I lost so many lures to rocks and stuff. It was ridiculous.
There's a lot of rock on Pickwick.
Yeah. Do you want to say hello to everybody since everyone's been commenting? I haven't been able to read everything.
Yep. I've been looking there. We've said hi to Booster. Who else? Tom was the first one on tonight. Frank's Fishing, the Little B, Kyle Mullet Fishing, Topwater Johnny.
Topwater Johnny, we know you're listening.
Matthew, who won our reel the other day. Terry Nance, Sam Afori, Jan from Puerto Rico.
Jan.
Texas Huntsman, he's a regular. Caro, I've seen her a few times now. Eagle Ron, John Wilson, he was one of my winners the other night. GH, don't know who GH is yet, but seems like a nice guy. Wisconsin Fishing last weekend with the Fat Ika. Dude, that's cool to hear because very few people even know what a Fat Ika is. Fisherman 83, Kick Your Bass, Ninth Child. What do you normally get your jewel fishing box? Ninth Child, mine is on the way. I got a shipment notification from them, so it should be here any day. Josh Lanham. Who else we got? Sean Z, Mendoza Fishing. Matt Morton. A lot of good old regulars. Gary. N5KDA, that's our retired police officer. C Big Hill, Chris Hill, man. He's the dude that donated the reel that we gave away to Matthew. Ronald Roquemore and Jeff Lauer, the musician.
Nice.
How's everybody doing?
Well, welcome. Hopefully you can participate and ask some questions, and hopefully we'll answer it. I saw one question about Florida, and I don't even see it now. Steve, do you think, what do you think about Florida blaming climate change for those oysters being destroyed in Mosquito Bay? But I think it's got nothing to do with climate. It has to do with chemicals that they're dumping. Yeah, Matthew, that is definitely, I mean, it could be something, could be part of climate change. But we have a horrible, everybody that's around that area just dumps crap into the lagoon and every place all the time. I mean, even the people, it's one of the crazy things about being down here is we get a lot of rain. We don't really need to fertilize our lawn during the summer. We have that much rain. I mean, but everyone's so worried about their lawns being green that the people that are on the salt water are near water, they have, you know, they're pest people, and those people come out and spray their lawn so it's extra green, and that spray actually goes into our water, which then starts the whole algae bloom, and that's really where all this stuff comes into. And in Mosquito Lagoon especially, those places, some of those places are actually dumping, you know, our bowel movements into the lagoon. And all that stuff just starts to add up. And then the next thing you know, we have a bloom and it just wipes out everything. I will say the snook fishing here right now locally is the best I've ever seen it in my life. The red fishing is the worst I've ever seen it in my life. And Mosquito Lagoon is known for redfish. And right now I think it's known for snook, and not just little snook. We're getting big 30, 25, 30, 33-inch snook in there. And I've never, ever seen as many as there are. I actually might as well just say it. There's a video coming out of me going snook fishing and destroying snook. I mean,
wow.
I put on a shrimp and skipped under some stuff, and it just, every time I made the right cast, I caught a good snook. And I think the biggest one might have been 32, and that's unheard of for the lagoon.
Wow, that's crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, Noel, welcome to the channel, man. Thanks for hopping on. And Howard, good to see you again. I remember Howard from last week, and I think that's about everybody. The Little B, and there might be a question or two I can't see. That one that you were reading about the climate change thing, I don't see it on mine. So maybe that's from your Facebook.
Oh, maybe.
something. Maybe I can't see it. I
What's
don't
from
know.
Matthew? Mine comes up now that says paired.
Yeah,
Did you
yeah.
see that?
Paired is the new feature here on this
Oh, okay.
app. Yeah.
Cool. Well, we're going to talk about a few things tonight. We're going to talk. Oh, well, let me just ask. I know the answer. Would you do it again? Do you think you're going to continue doing the MLF Big Five Coangler stuff?
I probably will get sucked into it some. Yeah, I've got several of my buddies want to do the BAS Opens uh, in the Central Division next year. Might do those. I always want to go north though. Usually I want to fish one of those northern lakes at least once a year. So don't know if I'll go back to St. Lawrence. I might try something new like Mille Lacs or something. I've never, I haven't seen the schedule. The schedules aren't out yet, so who knows where they'll be. But there's the northern divisions, so they'll definitely have some northern water I want to hit.
In the term,
It's so hot down here in the summer, and it's even hotter where you're at. And there's nothing funner when it's 100 degrees and miserable here to go up north and it's 80 degrees, 70s at night, even 60s at night, and the fishing is amazing.
Nice. Yeah, because right now it's the dog days of summer. It's ridiculous hot out right now. Is the goal to, like, I know you want to learn more and do it, but at the same time, do you think you'd be better off going the bass route or the MLF route to meet more anglers that might help you become a better angler?
I think it's 6 of one, half a dozen the other, to tell you quite frankly. It's not, in fact, a lot of the guys are the same people on both circuits. So I don't think that matters. I actually like fishing BAS just a little better because the Bass Opens, the co-angler only has to catch 3 fish.
Yeah.
And when you're fishing behind someone, I like that a lot better. With Major League Fishing, the Toyota Series, you fish for 5 fish.
Yeah.
But I don't even pay attention to that. I really just kind of look at what body of water do I want to go fish, and that's how I decide.
Yeah. I mean, wasn't Ike and Ellie in that one? Yeah.
Ike and Ellie was in that one. Brian Thrift was in that one. There was quite a few pros. And to tell you the truth, you don't want to be in a boat with one of the pros. The real pros.
Yeah.
Well, here's the thing. If you want to catch fish, you don't want to be behind those guys. If you want to watch them and observe and try to learn something, it's great. But those guys, they are at the highest level for a reason, and they're very aggressive. They're very focused. They're very motivated to win, and they do not give you much water to fish at all.
Really?
Yeah. There's a bunch of other guys who I, for the life of me, can't figure out why they're fishing. I mean, they will tell you, well, I'm fishing to win, but the way they fish, you're not fishing to win. You're not going to win fishing this way, but they're still good fishermen. They can still put you on fish. They're usually pretty generous and will share the water with you. In fact, I fished with one guy at St. Lawrence. He would have been, actually, they were both pretty good at being helpful. But the first guy wasn't on fish at all. And if he had been on fish, he gave me water. He'd let me cast about anywhere I wanted to cast. And the second guy was good too, as far as that goes.
That's cool.
So you got several guys saying they got your 6,000 subs giveaway boxes.
Yeah, I think John got 3 of them.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Congratulations, John.
I think he there were a couple of all things. I still have some of them here that nobody claimed.
The post office is nuts. Let me read to you Illuminathan. I don't see him on here tonight, but Illuminathan is one of my subscribers, and he wins on a regular basis. And he sends me a message saying, "Hey, did you ever send that that thing I won the other day?" And I said, "Yeah, I've sent it." And I sent him the tracking number again. I'd sent it to him several times, and he said, "Man, I don't know where it's at." So he goes to the post office. I don't know what's going on with the post office right now, man, but it's just crazy how off the wall they are. So listen to this. He says, all right, this was yesterday. He sent me a message saying, "Hey, it's not coming." And then I sent him the deal, and he says, "Huh, thanks. No wonder why I haven't been getting your emails. They're all going to spam." Okay, so he didn't think I was sending an email. So then he says, out of the 5, okay, so he's won 5 times on my show. Out of the 5 times I won on your show, I have received 2 of the 5 packages. I was like, "What?" He says, "Yeah, I just got back from my post office and told them that I wasn't receiving my packages. They said my mail delivery guy got fired a few weeks ago because he was stealing people's packages and mail. They had me write down what I was missing, and they would contact me after an investigation. All they really did was just apologize to me. What a joke." And then he sent me another message that says, "Hey, the postmaster just delivered your package personally. He said they're sorry and expect some compensation soon. Never had a problem with packages until last year." So, I mean, whenever I send out a prize to someone, I always send them a copy of the tracking so they can track it themselves. But he never told me all this time. Of course, I don't know what I could have done about it if his mailman is stealing all of his mail. It's just like, what the?
So I sent 3 to John. He only received 1, but I know he'll receive a second one, and here's why. So I went up to the mail people, and said, "Look, first of all, you screwed me on this thing where you kicked back 30 packages because you said I didn't have enough postage."
Oh yeah, I remember that.
Why do I hand you this and say this is the address, and I'm not licking a stamp and putting on each one. You tell me you say it's $5, then or $4.95, then that's what I pay. Then you bring all of them back and tell me that they need to be 501 or 508 or whatever. Then to make matters worse, they don't let me buy like an extra stamp and do it. I had to repackage all of them and repay for them to send them out.
That is insanity.
So in the case of John, when I was at the post office, they had one of the packages there. And they had a box of my stuff and go, oh, all those need to be 3 cents more. I'm like, you were going to do that to me again? So I said, "No, okay, man, here's what you got to do, blah, blah, blah. Here's another 33 cents for 5 packages. Just do it." And it was just stupid. It was stupid.
That is stupid. I mean, I understand if you were doing the postage yourself at home, which is what I do.
Yeah, I don't even do that. I go to the post office.
But you take it and give it to them, man. That should be, once you hand it to them and pay, it should get there, and you should not pay another dime.
That 6,000 subscriber thing cost me like $260 in postage fees for the 30 packages because I ended up doing them twice.
Golly, that is insane.
And John, if you receive a second one, you don't worry. You deserve it. Just keep it. Don't worry about it. Don't send it back. It's yours. I don't need any more. I want you to have them. In fact, that's why I did it. But I think I sent one of John. John got a bigger package. That's what she said. He got. I know the second one. The third one I know was a whole 2 months of, I think it was Bass Baits Monthly and Mystery Tackle Box. I think I'm looking over because there's 3 of them sitting over there that nobody ever claimed. So, yeah. Well, Kara said, "Why not ship UPS over USPS?" The problem with US, the Postal Service is cheap compared to UPS.
Yeah,
UPS
it is
packages, $13.
Not only that, but I used to ship a lot of stuff from home, and the problem with the shipping from UPS or FedEx from home is kind of what happened to you at the post office. They'll give you a rate. You'll pay for that rate. You'll ship whatever you're shipping, and then you'll get a bill later, and they'll say, we've calculated the difference now that it's shipped, and you owe us an extra whatever.
Yeah.
At least the post office, in my experience, I print all my postage right here. I use the app called Pirate Ship. It's actually very good. And I've never been charged extra once I put that label on and ship it out.
Yeah, it just was a learning curve. I guess that's the best way to put it. I mean, there aren't going to be, I'm never in any of the giveaways that I ever do for moving up in subscribers. Putting it together, I mean, I probably sent out 1,000 lures altogether.
Yeah.
So, I mean, it was.
Did you ever send me a box? I thought you said you sent me a box. Did you ever send one?
I have a box right here for you.
All right. Okay. It didn't get lost in the mail then.
No, there's a couple
Sean
things
Z.
in here for you.
Oh, snap. I've been wanting that big blade.
Oh, there's some power baits that they sent me too.
Sweet.
And there's some other stuff I wanted you to check out.
Oh, yeah.
Hats.
That's up my alley, man. This is interesting what guys are saying about Tackle Warehouse. Yeah, baby. Trace.
That's going to you too.
Ah, sweet. Tackle Warehouse has gotten so big now that you would think their service would get better, but I agree. I think it's going downhill a little bit. I still probably buy 90% of all my fishing stuff from Tackle Warehouse, but I have does anybody noticed they don't have these shirts anymore? Normally if you spend it used to be $50 and then it went up to $100 and now it's, I don't know what it is, but you could get a free t-shirt if you spent over $100 on an order, and then you could get a hat for $5 or something like that. And those have all disappeared. All they have left is the sticker. Who needs another freaking Tackle Warehouse sticker?
I don't want.
And you don't get a Tackle Warehouse sticker unless you paid $50. You got to spend $50 before they'll even give you a sticker. Jeez Louise, man.
I can only say, so this hat. So I have a bunch of these hats.
Yeah, you could send me one of those if you want.
I'll send one of these. I have a lot of these hats. They get dirty.
Just give me a clean one.
Yeah, I will. They get dirty fast. So and you see, they get dirty right here. So when that happens, I kind of just chuck it, and I have a lot of them. I took I don't even want to tell you how many I took. But I can tell you, we started the process of reordering and looking at doing hats again. And I can tell you, if Tackle Warehouse is going overseas to get hats, they're probably 5 or 6 months to get them, and that doesn't include shipping. And shipping is now at least 8 weeks, because everybody is way behind overseas in China right now. Everybody is way behind.
Really?
I mean, I talked to the guys at Thunderhawk Lures, and let me just say, anyone who used that code "Get Your Fish on 30" and save 30% at Thunderhawk Lures, thank you for doing that, because they actually wanted to send me a check to say thank you for that, and I told them don't do that.
Awesome.
I appreciate it, but I didn't promote it because of that. I was doing it because I wanted everyone to save money. So, but thank you. But I mean, even Hawk, he's been he's got a bunch of new lures coming out. He's got a rat and a couple other things. I think the only one I can talk about is
a rat. Sweet.
And he was talking it being 8 or 9 weeks behind schedule right now. So
how about this booster saying that Tackle Warehouse is opening a distribution store in Atlanta? They need something on the East. That's fantastic.
They said that 2 years ago, though, and they haven't, and it hasn't started yet.
Well, hopefully they do. I would be curious to see where else you guys go. I've started fishing some at Omnia. I've started fishing at a lot of different places.
Oh, it is open now. The tackle warehouse.
Oh, okay.
And really, they do need to do that because that'll save the time and their shipping costs from California
Yeah.
down to Florida and stuff
Yeah.
like that. And I was under the impression that, and this could be a complete. I don't know this for sure, but I was told that Tackle Warehouse was some 140,000 orders behind.
Really?
At ICAST.
That's insane. That's insane.
So,
well, I have noticed that this is what a tackle warehouse used to do back in the good old days. If you went and made an order, and let's say there was 3 things on back order, they still let you order it. And they would ship your order except for the 3 back order items. And then when the 3 back order items came, you'd get charged your card for the 3 items, and they'd go ahead and ship them to you. It's gotten so bad now that they won't sell you anything if it's on back order. They say, sorry, can't even buy it. And that's annoying because trying to find it somewhere else, and you can't remember, right? They say November 1st is when this thing's going to be done. It's just a pain. It's a total pain in the rear.
I went to Tackle Warehouse for a couple things recently that I couldn't get from manufacturers, and I pre-ordered them ahead of time, and then they came out, and the next thing I know, the manufacturer ended up sending. I'll just be honest. Chase Baits ended up sending me all the new stuff. And then my order from
good stuff.
Yeah, my order from a Tackle Warehouse, got there, and they were sending out everybody else's, but mine was 3 or 4 weeks behind, even though it was paid for. So I called them up and said, "Hey, look, you got to cancel this order. I've already got all this crap. You're 3 weeks late. I should have got this before. I should have got this 3 weeks ago. I should have been the first person to get them when you got them in, and I wasn't." And then, of course, like I said, I didn't even know they came in. I called the guys at Chase Bait and said, is there any way I can get this? And they're like, yeah, sure. Blah, blah, blah. And
cool.
They sent it to me.
I still think Tackle Warehouse is probably the best place out there.
I agree.
They just have an incredible selection. Even now, they still do. And I don't know how many orders a day they get, but they got to just process a ton of orders.
Mm-hmm.
And their pricing is usually better than Bass Pro and places like that. I mean, Bass Pro has a decent selection, but if you watch the prices, Bass Pro is rarely the cheapest on anything.
Yeah, I think Bass Pro. I like going to Bass Pro.
Yeah,
I don't like ordering stuff from Bass Pro. I'd rather just
their website's not very good.
Yeah, the Tackle Warehouse website is just so easy and simple that it's just like let me just do this one really fast. So, it is what it is. Topwater Johnny says, I really like the hookuptackle.com. I've never been there.
Oh, yeah, I've been there a lot. They do a lot of JDM stuff, a lot of Mega Bass, a lot of high-end stuff, ton of depths. I like the Hookup Tackle quite a bit, but they have a ton of stuff not in stock as well, especially when you go to their rods and reels and that kind of stuff. Johnny's
the king of JDM. I mean, a majority of his videos, he just is good at it. I watch every time his stuff comes out, I watch it, but a lot of it is JDM or Mega Bass. He doesn't skimp on lures. And really, the one thing about Johnny that I like, and I would say this to him, Johnny really goes out there and fishes them. It doesn't matter. He is stuck in his ways on top water fishing. His name's Topwater Johnny. He is all top water. It doesn't matter if they're not biting top water. He is going to throw it at all times. And he'll get some of these crazy cicadas and stuff like that. And I'll see him.
Oh, yeah.
The action on them is ridiculous. And I'm like, holy cow. And I'm always like, every time we haven't fished in ages, but when we did fish, I used to be like, yeah, you should use this worm. I'm telling you. And he's like, I'm sticking to the top water. Leave me alone. So
Matthew's a big JDM guy too.
Yeah.
I was wondering about. I haven't noticed that Academy's prices have gone up that much, Booster. But I haven't been in Academy in a while. I used to go there all the time because their prices used to be the best of about any place. And Walmart can hold their own when it comes to fishing tackle. They really can.
Well, Pure Fishing had said at the beginning, just before iCasting or in August, all their pricings from start to finish, all the products, all their SKUs was supposed to go up 15 or 20% because they were having so much problem getting baits in, the new shipping costs, so import tax, all that stuff had hit them real hard. So they were marking up everything 15 to 20%.
Man, we got like 4 Dick's Sporting Goods right in my area here, and all of them last year quit selling fishing tackle. They all used to sell it, and they don't zero fishing tackle in their stores now.
They have a lot of here. They have a lot of Guggen stuff at Dick's.
I do not know why. It infuriates me. They used to have a good selection at one particular store, but you can't get anything now.
It's surprising that there's still a lot of places in Academy and places like that have open, pegs with nothing on them. I go there,
a lot of that.
I'm still dumbfounded that there's that many people because, like the subscription tackle boxes, they're buying the same stuff that Dick's and everybody else is.
Yeah, yeah.
But there's still so much. It's still so crazy. It really is. It'll be fun to see what the numbers of how well fishing retail sales will be after this year. If they still continue to climb like they did, or if they take a little bit of a drop. And it'll also be nice to see how many fishing licenses sold this year compared to last year, because last year was ridiculous.
Yeah, I think it's got to go down some. But the good thing about fishing is there are a lot of people, once they start doing it, they're not going to stop. But a ton of them will. A ton of them are going to go back to work or have gone back to work, and it's just going to kind of go back.
Yeah. Okay, can we change topics for a second?
Yeah, let's do that.
You brought up something that we both talked about. Hello. That's my Howard Stern thing about that angler with NPFL that died.
Yeah. There was an angler that fished the NPFL circuit that passed away from COVID.
Yes.
And his name's Donnie. Let me look it up here. Donnie ONeill.
Yes.
Really sad. Really sad to hear that. And that's what's weird about COVID right now is it's starting to take younger people. Used to, when it first started, they were telling us, if you're really old, you got to worry about it. If you're in your 30s, 40s, even 50s, not that big a deal. Well, it seems like it's changing. And I don't know the story behind it. I went on the Facebook page to see if I could find out more details, and it doesn't say much other than just, we're sure going to miss him, and what a shock, here today, gone tomorrow sort of thing.
Yeah.
And that's what happened with my buddy, my friend who, my age, healthy, great guy. You just never in a million years would think it would happen, and it did. It happened to him.
I had a buddy die last week too, Matt West, who of all things, I did radio with. He had a sports show, and at one time he needed someone to be really. He would ask me to be on, just so I could be insanely aggressive and ugly to people. And really, and he used to think it was the funniest thing because somebody would call in and I'd be like, what are you, stupid? I mean, that's the most ridiculous thought I've ever heard. And I don't know why you even have, and I would be just ugly to people, but people loved it and would be like, it was almost like me trying to roast everybody who called in. And,
wow.
And Matt was, this is going to be even crazier. Matt was the most religious person I've ever met in my life. He was in charge of my son's Christian quiz team, and here he used to have me on there. But it's really sad to to have these people, pass away. And, it's crazy because when you said about his name was David, right?
Donnie,
excuse
Donnie
me.
ONeill.
I'll read you a text I sent just yesterday. So I saw it on Facebook. Everyone, I don't know if everyone can see my phone. No, you can't. Maybe you can. There it is. Hopefully there's no phone number. So yesterday, Aaron Martins put out a thing about he's not going to be at the next MLF tournament. That he's had some regress, has went back, and they found more stuff, and it literally tore me up. The video. I should say there's a little bit more of a backstory. So I texted Aaron a week ago, and I was like, hey, I'll tell you what I send him. I usually send him stuff like this. I usually say, hey, brother, I wanted to tell you how much you mean to me and how I am and my family are always praying for you. I know it's a tough time, but I'm sending love and prayers and everything that goes in life to you. God is great, and I know you'll make it through this. If I can do anything, please let me know, and I'll drive up. Love you, bro. So I usually send him a text, something in that general thing, about every, 3 or 4 or 5 days. Well, of all things, I go in, I text him, and then I go into Thomas's swimming, and I butt dial Aaron. And he gets like 15-minute voicemail from me talking about swimming or talking to those swimming. And I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe I did this. So then when I realized it the next day, because I'm like looking at my phone and I'm like, why does it say I called Aaron for 16 minutes and 21 seconds? So I call him and I'm like, did I butt dial you? And he goes, man, I am, the first thing he says was, hey, Steve, I love you. I love hearing your voice. It was the best thing that happened to me yesterday, because I just so funny that you're talking about Thomas and all these other kids swimming. And I'm like, what does this thing say? And he's like, don't worry what it says. I just like it. I just appreciate that you called me, and that it just made my day.
That is awesome.
It's really hard to explain my relationship with Aaron, because years and years ago there was a iCast on the water. Actually, our good buddy, cousin Ken, set it up at the Lake X here in Kissimmee-ish area. And if you don't know about Lake X here, it's where Mercury used to test all of the Mercury boats. They would bring the Mercury engines, and it's down this long road, and it's a completely secluded lake that is just filled with bass, or it was at the time. Well, they opened it up because Ken had all the influence, and all these people showed up to promote their products before iCast, and they called it iCast on the Water. It was Ken Duke's idea, and Aaron and I had always, talked, and we were always cordial, and I'd ask him questions and do this and that. But that at that one, he and I spent 2.5, 3 hours completely talking about how he looks at every body of water and how to look at it differently, what I should be doing to catch more fish, all this stuff. And I went home like this was the greatest day of my life.
Yeah, it sounds really fun.
And so it's really sad to hear what Aaron's going through. And I know that he's having a really hard time. And I think that lately he got some bad news, and I'm really scared for him, but I want him to know that, I would love him to come on here, but to be honest, I think I would get overly emotional.
Yeah.
And I don't want to do that. I don't want him to. I want him to know how much I care for him and think of him as a brother. But I don't want to I don't want to see anything happen to him. That's the best way to put it. So
yeah, for sure.
So I hope
Frankie,
I hope he's all right.
I'll answer this, Frankie, real quick. No, we do not have to wear masks. I think there were some people maybe at the weigh-in that would wear a mask, but when you're on the boat, you're outside anyway. It's only two people. One's at the front of the boat, one's at the back of the boat. So, no, we did not wear masks in the tournament.
Wearing a mask right now when you're outside, oh my gosh, I can't imagine fishing with a mask on, to be honest.
I can't either. That'd be brutal, wouldn't it?
Yeah, it's too hot out.
Yeah, that would be brutal.
Yeah. Booster said he sounded very weak. The video that I saw this week or yesterday of Aaron was really, it hurt me.
It's amazing. It's amazing how optimistic he has stayed for so long. I mean, this thing's been going on for a long time now. And he was such a dynamic tournament fisherman. He was always, you know, competing. He was always at the highest level. You know, he was always a threat. And it just has to be such a shocking change for him.
Yeah,
Derek, you need to wear a mask while you're watching this podcast.
I know, that's why I laughed.
Okay. Yeah.
Derek has the funny of the day. For Aaron, in Aaron's case, every place he went, you could put him down there as he could possibly win.
That's right. That is right.
And it
was always possible for him.
Yes. Okay, do you want to answer Noah's?
Yeah, no. So this is just a personal preference. The thing to think about is whenever you're the co-angler, you pay less money and you don't have to find fish. You can just fish for fish. There's a lot more pressure on the boater, but the boater is obviously going to learn more, I'd say, because he's got to go out. He's got to go and figure out the water. He's got to find the fish. So if you're just starting, and it depends on, you know, how comfortable you feel with certain techniques. But if you're just starting fishing, hopping on a BFL as a co-angler is a great way to learn. And it's not very expensive to be a co-angler on the BFLs.
There's a lot of learning that can happen. As much as it sucks to be on the back of the boat, there's a lot of learning that you can learn from anglers that, you know, if you get on a good angler or a local angler, you can really learn some spots to go fish. I mean, down here, I fished with Cody Detweiler, I think his last name is, and he's like a stick on Toho. He's won everything. But you go fish with him and you learn a lot of things. Just like years ago, I was on the boat with Scott Martin, and Scott Martin took me to a place where he actually dropped a couple giant trees to give a habitat. Now, I don't think he realized that I was a local angler, but once he took me to this place, every time I go out there, I'm like, you know, if we line up right here,
right.
this is where we're gonna get them. And so there's a lot of learning that you can do for a local pond, or even if you like with you going to someplace different and learning that place with somebody who's out there. Most of the time, you do get some knowledge from the angler that you're fishing with.
Yeah, and the closest lake to my house that the pros fish is Table Rock Lake. And so I've intentionally signed up as a marshal on Table Rock Lake before just to see how the pros fish my lake so that I could, and I've learned quite a bit. You know, I was able to fish with Polinick one day, Kurt Dove the other day, and Matt Heron the other day. And got to see them fish my waters all a completely different way. And then I fished with Stephen Browning on Table Rock as part of the BASS Opens Championship. And I learned a lot from him too. So there's definitely, if you're trying to learn things, there's probably nothing better. Oh, I fished behind Luke Clausen and Jeff Crete as well on Table Rock.
Being a marshal, there's a lot of positives for being a marshal. If you could be a marshal at like, just for instance, one of the classic where you have the top 42 anglers, then all the open winners and so forth. You can get in there. You're going to get a really years ago, you would get a really well-known angler as your the person you're marshaling.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
For media, it's even better because the media gets to pick the top 5 people that they want to go with every day.
Mm.
And as long as they don't have a camera boat, you will get the person.
That's great.
Unless you have Ken Duke that completely trashes you and then jinxes you and makes sure you don't get anything.
Yeah,
I haven't talked to Cousin Kenny in 3 weeks.
Yeah, we got to have him on again. He's fun to have on the show.
Yeah.
But it's a great way to learn, whether you're a marshal or you're on a coangler or whatever. It's definitely a good way to learn. And another way to learn is join a bass club.
Yeah.
Join a local bass club. You guys will meet and talk about fishing and socialize, and you'll meet guys that you can go fish with for fun. And then you fish tournaments together. And it's another great way to learn.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So we talked about NPFL. While we're talking about Major League bass fishing, we talked about the Elite Series schedule a few weeks ago, but then Major League Fishing announced their new schedule this year, or just recently.
Yeah, let's look at that.
Have you seen the Major League Fishing 2022 schedule?
No, I've not seen it. I'm pulling up the website right now.
On a crazy thing, and no disrespect to Bass, Bass doesn't change anything. We can go on, just go on the record. They are going to the same places time after time after time. They're going to start off there in Palatka. We know for a fact Palatka needs them, and that's the only thing that they do in Palatka. Well, there's another thing, but I'm not allowed to say that word. But they go to the same places time after time after time. The Bass Pro Tour schedule for next year is absolutely like no-name places.
I'm looking at it. This first one I've never heard of in West Monroe, Louisiana.
Well, Lake Fork we've all heard of.
Yeah, we've heard of Lake Fork. Lewis Smith Lake, I think I've heard of.
Yes.
Grand Lake, we've definitely heard of.
Tyler, Texas, no idea. Lake Palestine.
Yeah, Lake Palestine. No,
Lake in the Ozarks we've heard of, but the Watts Bar Lake, the lake, we heard of Lake Cayuga. They've went to places that the tournaments don't normally go to. We've heard of these places because they're probably in the top 50 places to bass fish in the country.
Yeah.
But in terms of tournaments going to them, what Major League Fishing has really went out on a crazy thing to create the schedule that they have. And 1, 2, 3, 4.
That's really some fun stuff to see some new. You know that Watts Bar Lake, I'm pretty sure a Bassmasters Classic was fished there years and years ago.
Yeah, probably.
Cayuga Lake, I'm aware of. And Mill Lacs is a smallmouth factory, man. That this is not. I was going to say that's a Seth Fighter Lake there, but he's not on the Bass Pro Tour.
Like when you look at the Bass is going to Palatka, Harris Chain, then they're going to Lake Hartwell for the Classic, Santee Cooper, Chickamauga, Lake Fork, Pickwick, St. Lawrence. The one that nobody's heard of is Lake O'Hay or whatever, and then the Mississippi River. I will say, I think what Bass is doing this year is they're trying to find the places where they can put up that thing, one stage or big stage, big bass, big limits, or whatever their thing is.
Right.
Because there were a couple places last year where it was dink fest. It wasn't.
Yeah.
And I think they've looked at it and went, this is what we got to do, and
yeah, this is almost a repeat here. I mean, St. John's, Harris Chain, Chickamauga, Fork, Pickwick, St. Lawrence River.
And the Classic is at Lake Hartwell, which, the classic ends up being just about money, really, for bass. Where can they go get the most amount of money, make it, and really, when we, even with Duke, he said it. They look for three things. They got to have the right body of water that can handle the fishing. They got to have a place where these guys can go and do the weigh-in and do that. And then the third thing comes down to how much money is bass going to make. I mean, because most of the time, I know in recent years it's been $200,000 or $500,000 that the Greenville, South Carolina, will have to pay bass just for those guys to show up. Where for Major League Fishing, doing all these new places, and Major League Fishing really doesn't have the crowds that bass gets, and really that's why we all love bass so much. But
for sure,
to be honest, I thought last year Major League Fishing better than the elites, and the reason why is there's just so many newer places that we haven't seen tournaments on, and I think it might be one of those things that I think people, as much as people love going to Palatka, I mean, so the theory on Palatka is, a couple of years ago I went to Palatka, 3 or 4 years ago I went to Palatka, and I met this girl and met this woman who was, introducing herself to everything. And I said to her, "What do you do in Palatka?" And she said, "We F-bomb and we fish." That's it. And that's what she said to me. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Oh, man.
This is the bass going to Palatka. And really, Palatka 3 years ago when Rick Clunn won it, it was a completely different fishery. There was a lot of grass. There was all this stuff. There isn't grass out there anymore. It's gone.
Mm-hmm.
So Palatka doesn't really fish really well. I mean, you see a couple big fish. I will say bass going to Palatka and then going to the Harris Chain in February, you're going to see 1 or 2 giant fish. I mean, I would probably put it down that somebody catches a 9-10 pound fish at Harris Chain in February. They're gonna smack it. They're gonna smack dab it, crash, and smash the spawn. But I look at all the other places. Chickamauga always has good fish. Lake Fork is a good one. Pickwick. I mean, there's some really great places for that bass is going, that they're going to probably catch a lot of big fish. But it's just the same thing over and over. I mean, how many times can we see the St. Lawrence River? I mean, how many times?
Yeah, I know. I mean, it's true. You're absolutely right.
I'm more excited about Major League Fishing this year. Unfortunately.
Me too. Yep, me too, for sure. In fact, I'm really excited to have them come to Lake of the Ozarks, because that is my closest lake. The BASS used to fish there a lot, and they don't fish there at all now. And there's a ton of boat traffic on the Lake of the Ozarks, which maybe that's why, I don't know. But it'll be cool to see some pro-level guys fish Lake of the Ozarks and see how they do.
When that comes in, remind me, and I'll send you Boyd Duckett's number, and I'll get you one of those. I wonder if I have one. Oh, I do have one. I might have an extra one. I'll just give you this.
Perfect.
You want to know what? Watch, here it goes. It's in your bin.
Excellent. Excellent. That sounds great.
They'll be like, "How did you get that? Did you sign the waiver?" Just go, yeah.
Yeah, I signed everything.
I already signed it, Crystal. Leave me alone.
Heck yeah.
The other thing is with Major League Fishing, and I don't know how many people know about this, but today Major League Fishing launches free-to-play Bass Pro Tour Predictor game presented by Phoenix to win trip with Skeet Reese. So you can go on there, majorleaguefishing.com/predictor, and you can who you think's going to win, blah, blah, blah. They're giving away 1 trip, all expenses paid trip to California to fish with Skeet. And then the bonus, they're giving away 25 runners-up receive a free combo from Abu Garcia. So,
I was just looking at their website, and they got KVD on the front here. It reminded me, I saw, maybe you guys saw this too. He posted Instagram post or something of his prep for this St. Clair tournament coming up, and it basically he's showing a picture of all of his fishing rods, and he says, "I'm getting ready to head up to Lake St. Clair, and it should be amazing." And he shows all of his fishing rods, and I counted. He has 41 fishing rods rigged, lines tied, ready to roll for the Lake St. Clair tournament. 41 rods.
I get nervous bringing 3 rods to the place.
He had 41. In fact, he went so kind of quick that I had to keep pausing it and counting. And then I thought, like, oh, count, and then some more, and count. Because I was like, that is a crap ton of rods. I want to know how many rods he actually has ready for this Lake St. Clair. 41 rods. Pretty amazing. All look brand new. I wonder if he gets brand new rods.
I would bet that there's a couple people on the tournament that have over 60 rods in their storage bins.
Oh, I bet there is too.
I don't want to mention their names, but I know of one really that I know has 60 rods. And every time I'm like, why do you bring this much crap? But they're like, well, if one breaks, then I got to use this. I'm like, you can't tie another knot? I mean, how long does it take? I can tie a knot in like 3 seconds these days. Jacob's probably one of them. Jacob has so much crap in his boat.
He does. I don't know how they keep it organized, man. Just me trying to keep my stuff organized it's insane. The amount of time it takes.
Organization in a pro angler's boat is really fun to look and watch. Like we talked about Aaron Martins. Aaron Martins is meticulous about everything being in a perfect place. Then you get to the direct opposite, and that is John Cox, where literally he will pick up a bag of baits and just dump them into the middle thing, and that's his organization. And you're like, you get on his boat and you're like, I need a flat shad or whatever, flatworm, whatever the
flatworm.
And you're like,
you got to go in the general.
You got to go through 27 piles of stuff to find the one that you want. And some guys, that's just the way they do. I was at the Classic when John made his first Classic, and he and I had just went and fished his backyard like the week before. And I was like, oh, I got to go find John and say hello. And he was I remember it was John, Brandon Palaniuk, and KVD in that 3. Mm-hmm. And I got there, and John was relining his rods, and nobody knew who John Cox was, of all things. So we were in the behind the boat, and I was helping him put on new line. And I remember looking in the back of his boat, and there were tree branches in the back of the boat. So I started pulling them out for him. I'm like, that's going to cause you problems. And after I was done, Palaniuk said to me, that's the cleanest I've ever seen his boat in all the time I've known him. And I'm like, oh amazing. My gosh.
Wow, that's crazy. Slee, the rookie, man, that fish you're holding in your picture does not look like a rookie bass. That is a big bass.
Dude, that's a huge bass.
But he's asking about bank fishing, and it's a good question. I will tell you, Steve fishes a lot from the bank. I fish a lot from the bank. There's a bunch of guys on here that fish from the bank. There's a bunch of channels you can go to learn about bank fishing, to get support about bank fishing. We did a beginner's show a while back, and we'll do more of that in the future. I think Booster's recommendation of finding an older buddy to go fishing with you is a great idea. Mm-hmm. You can share lures, you can share techniques, you can share all kinds of things. But there's probably more support for the rookie bank fisherman nowadays than there ever has been in the history of fishing. And we're open. Yeah, ever got any questions or anything you want to know from us, just give us a shout, send us a message, and we'll do everything we can to help you as well.
Yeah, bank fishing is pretty much 90% of what I do. I am going to start going to Turkey Lake on Fridays and going fishing, and they have we have a a thing called the Fab Five Lakes here in Orlando, and it's all run by the city of Orlando and FWC, and they make these catch and release ponds, and they're all pristine ponds. They put in the right forage fish, they put in bass, they do all this stuff. Well, Turkey Lake is one that they don't even let boats with motors on in. You can go to Turkey Lake Park and you can rent one for like $20, and you get the boat for 4 hours. It's just an electric boat, and the fishing is really ridiculous. So my new goal is to go in the mornings on Fridays there, and just try to learn it and film, and because it's not someplace I've only fished out there a few times, try to learn it a little bit better, and also I'm going to try to start to do a little bit more like spec fishing. So I'm going to try to do some of that and learn it, because I'm really not a very good spec fisher.
That's a 9-pound spotted bass in his picture there.
Is that what it is?
Crazy. That's what he says. 9-pound spotted bass. That had to be California then.
That's a monster.
Or somewhere down south. We got spots here, but you'll never see a 9-pound spot in this part of the world.
Yeah.
You won't see a 5-pounder.
Yeah. Kyle must have lived right near me. I didn't know that. I don't know where he lives now, but he must have lived right next to me. I'm in Apopka, Kyle, so I don't know where you are.
Cool.
So, okay,
yeah,
so we talked about
the schedules. I think are going to be interesting. I am definitely going to spend more time watching Major League Fishing this next season.
Did you know there was an NPFL tournament since the last time we were on here?
No, we were talking about this. I don't know. I just lose track of those guys. I don't think about NPFL hardly ever. And
is anyone watching NPFL?
I don't know. Let's look in the comments. Who's watching NPFL? Who? Anybody? Is anybody out there watching it?
And
if so, what do you like about it?
I'm really confused about NPFL at this point in time after almost a full season of it. As somebody, as Gramp said, I watched the first couple. I went and covered one of them. I mean, Keith Carson was leading this one, and he's a friend. I had zero clue that it was on. I mean,
look at Frankie. What's that?
Zero.
Frankie says, "What's that?" Well, that answers the question. Well, the thing about it, this is probably my fault because I haven't spent the energy. I do not know I went and looked at the AOY race today on NPFL's website. I don't know hardly any of those guys, and it's hard to be interested in something I don't know the guys. I don't know the fishermen, and I don't know, man. I hope they get some traction. I was kind of glad to see them start up, but I don't know. I don't know anybody that's talking about them. All my fishing buddies, and we don't ever mention NPFL. I don't know.
Yeah, I try to keep up with as much bass stuff as I can, but one of the things like reading this today, I mean, as crazy as it sounds, I probably get 1 or 2 emails from Major League Fishing or Bass every other day. Major League Fishing even more so. I mean, Major League Fishing really bombards the email. It's almost ridiculous. I've almost thought about unsubscribing. If I didn't know Joe that well, I would have unsubscribed by now. But you don't get anything from. I don't get anything from NPFL, and when I do, it's just not. I don't know where this group is going, because I know when I was there, I thought they were doing a great job. But if we don't know when the tournaments are happening, and they haven't released next year's schedule when everybody else has released their own schedules now, they're behind that again this year. It kind of throws.
I was just curious. I was just curious about their schedule. I'm going to pull this up real quick and see where they fished this year. Lake Eufaula.
Yep.
I don't know Wright Patman Lake. Never heard of that. That's in Texas.
In Texas, though.
The Harris Chain, Pickwick, Lake Winnebago in Wisconsin, and then they got 2 more at Grand Lake, and then the championship. They don't say where that's going to be at.
Yeah.
So they're picking a few that everybody's fished, and then they pick a few that I don't think many people fish. So that's kind of a nice schedule they had this year. But see, I didn't watch any of it.
They seem to have had a lot of tournaments on the same days as like Major League Fishing and the Bass Elites. And really, if you're gonna compete against them, my suggestion would be to never have them on the same times, because
yeah,
are we ever
right?
Wouldn't we all prefer to watch Kevin Van Dam or
For
Brandon
sure.
Palaniuk over guys we have no clue who they are?
Hey, they do have Fat Cat Newton.
I know,
and
Bernard,
I like him a lot. He's actually a good dude.
He's a good friend of mine. I love him.
And I think he's a good ambassador for the league there.
I like Luke Duncan.
I like Luke as well. He's great.
You want to know what? I like David Dudley, even though he doesn't reply to any texts.
Yeah, Dave Dudley is he fishing the NPFL this year?
No, he's one of the announcers.
Oh, yes.
Yeah, him and Luke are the announcers.
That just goes to show you. I knew Luke was. I didn't know Dave Dudley was.
And David is a good fisherman. I mean, he's really good. And he has a really good personality. I talked to David when Major League Fishing was going on, when the stuff was happening, and he was just good to talk to.
Okay, so it looks like Texas Huntsman Watch, is it?
Yeah.
It says it's a fun in between league to watch.
Yeah, Gramps likes Luke's Not So Live. I don't even know what he says.
He likes his podcast.
His podcast, yes.
But Gramps apparently only watches Major League Fishing. He doesn't watch bass anymore.
Oh, why? I wonder why he doesn't watch. Did you ask him that when you were just on his show? How did it go? I watched most of that.
It went great. It was a good time. I really enjoyed it, and had fun on his show. And yeah, he has a nice little show going, and it went really fast. We had a lot to talk about. We got a lot in common, you know.
Yeah.
And we start talking about fishing. It goes fast.
Yeah. Tom said they can't set their schedule up because they don't know their rosters are set yet. Expect some surprises from anglers trying to get in. Yeah. That I'm looking forward to see. Because
cool.
Quite honestly, NPFL is the most expensive tournament to fish in with the least amount of money to win in all of the big ones.
Yeah, so there's got to be a payoff for that. If you're going to invest the money and you know you're going to earn less, then what's in it for you? I guess the option is, well, I can't get into BASS and Major League Fishing, so this gives me a chance. Maybe that's the thinking.
Yeah. It's a lot of money. It's $5,000 to be in that, and the payout to win is $50,000. Where Major League Fishing, the anglers pay $1,700 to fish, and if you're in the Bass Pro Tour, and you win $100,000, and for the elites, I think it's about $2,300 or $2,500, and you win $100,000. So, but you have
if you look at if you look at the NPFL Angler of the Year race, it shows what their yearly earnings have been so far, and there's been a couple that have made $100,000 this year. For the year.
Yeah, Keith Carson and Sukup have won 2 tournaments each, or been real close to. I think.
Hey George, no, I've not thrown that goldfish because I'm giving away the Dark Horse tackle box as one of my giveaways, so I left the goldfish in there. Good question, though. If anybody wants to see it, I'll show you so you guys are wondering. In the Dark Horse tackle box, they gave me this orange goldfish crankbait by Sleigh Right Fishing.
What's that one? Can I see it?
Sleigh Right Fishing. The color's called Burst Fire goldfish. Let me see if I can get it out. I don't know why you would ever put anything with treble hooks in a plastic bag. It makes no sense.
I have been stuck with treble hooks more in the last week than any time in my life.
Look, I mean, a lure with treble hooks should never go in a plastic bag. It goes against physics. It's practically impossible. That's how you've got to do it. You've got to literally rip the bag apart to get it out. Here it is, though. If you want to see it, Steve.
Oh, that's nice.
It's pretty. It's a square, Bill.
Yeah. Those hooks, the hook.
They're just standard hooks.
Beefy.
There's nothing special about these hooks. But yeah, that's a lure by Sleigh Right Fishing. And it came in the Dark Horse tackle box. And my second Dark Horse tackle box is on the way,
Nice.
guys. So it should be here this week. And when it is, I'll show you what's in it.
Tom said it gives a lot of regional pros a place to put their money in without quitting their jobs or breaking up their family. There's something to be said about that. The problem
there is something to be said about that.
A lot of these guys have paid $30,000 for a year, and
a lot of them are working full-time jobs as well outside of fishing. That's right.
Yeah. I mean,
so I remember that now. That was one of their goals, to give guys who are really good sticks, but also, maybe not doing this full-time 365 days a year, a chance. And I like that. I actually like that a lot.
So as of right now, anybody who's like 22nd and below is not going to make their money back. Well, there might be one or two is not going to make their money back for what they put out.
Yeah, there's only one tournament. There's only one tournament left, and then the championship. Do they make any money on the championship tournament or not?
I think they do. I mean, there's just so many people that and it is how it's a tough. People think that a lot of people think that getting into fishing, tournament fishing, you're going to make tons of money. I mean, look at a perfect example is Rob Turkla, who doesn't need to be in any tournaments at all. He's 60th in points for the year. Has only made $18,000. He's put out $30,000 for just tournaments. That doesn't cover gas or baits or line or any of that stuff.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you're looking at probably an investment of like $42,000. So to be profitable and not hurt your family, you should, hopefully you make some of that back. The good thing, the thing about what Bass is doing is every person's getting at least a portion of their money back, so it isn't so expensive. So that's why it's kind of crazy to think to spend $5,000 on a tournament, or let's just say $6,500, $7,000 a tournament, and you're only not like $50,000 in a lot of money. I want to make that very clear. But to make a profit of $43,000 back, when the elites and the Major League Fishing are putting out $3,500 to win $100,000, there's a big discrepancy there. And
who's Booster talking about that dumped his fish the second day on Mille Lacs and drove home? What's that about?
Know.
What is that about?
Oh, maybe that was Rob Turkla. Maybe. I don't know.
Oh, interesting.
I mean, Rob doesn't need any of that stuff.
Yeah, he said it was Turkla.
And Tom asked of all.
Well, tell everybody who Rob Turkla is, because I think some people don't know.
Oh, if you don't know who Rob Turkla, he's the main person on, or one of the main people on Guggen Squad, and they just they sell out everything. I mean, you either like their stuff or you don't like their stuff. Rob does. I don't even know his channel's name. I don't even know the channel name. Sorry,
I don't either.
He does videos and does real well, and and it probably was a tax write-up for Rob, but he joined. He didn't need to be in these tournaments. But he is very competitive and wanted to go at it. So out of all the wannabe tournament fishermen, including club tournaments, how many even come close to breaking even? Not many.
Not many at all.
A lot of guys go in the pool. If you don't win a tournament or you're not consistent, you're not breaking even. I know
they pay for their tournaments with sponsorship money. I mean, that's how they do it.
Yeah, I don't think these guys on MPFL.
Yeah, these guys probably don't. But on the other two circuits, a lot of those pros get their sponsors to pay for their tournament entry fees.
Yeah, if you can do that, you can be successful. But we had Brandon Card on, and I don't think he would be mad for me saying this. It took Brandon 3 or 4 years to finally make a penny into what he had put out.
Yeah,
because
exactly.
Those first few years are really tough.
They're brutal.
Oh, yeah,
they really are.
TV. Thank you, Booster.
Yeah, look, I guess he's changed it. It used to be Lunkers TV.
Oh.
Now it's just his name.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah, it does.
It's branding.
I like him. I watched him. I used to watch his channel before he became a Guggen, and it was pretty good TV. It was, it was just typical fishing stuff. Once he became a Guggen, I quit watching that stuff.
Yeah, I used to watch it, and then he had a thing about somebody called his wife the C word. And in the middle of the video, Thomas and I are watching the video. He said the C word. And Thomas was like, "What does that mean?" And I was like, "Okay, unsubscribe. You are out of the Chapman loop." And I did meet him at the Harris Chain this year. And while he was game face and doing his thing, he was a very nice young man. Very nice young man.
Yeah, I think he is.
I don't have anything bad to say about Rob. I think I will be honest. I think he's crazy for doing this because I think this. I just think, why put yourself through the stress and the torture of everybody who talks badly about you, about how you're doing or how well you're not doing, and you're so successful at what you've done in the past. Just don't do it. Don't do it. But I think it's great that he's trying it, and supposedly next year it's even going to be he's going to try some other stuff. So I wish him the best of luck.
He's living the dream.
Mm-hmm. Okay, we talked about MPFL. I want to know, did anyone watch Mike Iaconelli's new TV show?
I totally forgot about it. I did hear something briefly about it, but what is Iaconelli doing now? He's fished some kayak tournaments, not many, a couple, I think. He fished, and he won one, by the way. He won the Chesapeake Bay BASS kayak tournament this year.
But there weren't a lot of people in that one.
There was 140 or something like that.
I was told 52.
Oh, really? Usually there are way more than that, but maybe so. Yeah, I shouldn't speak because I haven't verified that. He won regardless.
Still amazing.
And he's fishing some opens, like I saw him on the Toyota Series up there at St. Lawrence. I'm just kind of scratching my head, like, what is he doing? What's the plan for Mike? Has he said? Because I don't follow him that close, but I am curious.
I think he has to fish the kayak opens because of his sponsorship with Hobie.
Yeah.
So I think that's his way of doing that. I think, like the Bassmaster I think he's in the opens. I think he's one of the top guys for Angler of the Year.
Is he?
I thought
is he trying to get into the elites? Does anybody know? I mean, could he get in with an exemption? Do they do that now, or do they quit doing that?
I thought he could.
Because he's won a classic. He's won some stuff.
Maybe I guess I'm completely wrong on the AO. I could have swore the opens why he was up there. But it looks like Prosnick is going back, which is great. He deserves to go back.
He
But other
definitely
than
deserves
that,
to go
maybe
back.
Iaconelli isn't in it.
So Booster says he has a show doing different sports. So it's not even fishing?
No,
MMA, and the MMA guy fishes.
Yeah, he goes to them and does what they do, like an MMA fighter, and then he challenges them to come fish with him. And
interesting. He's had several shows. He did the show in the city for a while, and his Ike Live podcast is pretty popular.
I should say, now that I found it, he's number 2 in Angler of the Year points for the Northern Opens.
Ah.
So, I mean, he makes top 5. He would automatically, or top 3, he would get an invite back to the elites.
Oh, so that's probably what he's doing then.
Maybe. I mean,
you got to hand it to him. That
you
dude
never know.
That dude has figured out how to succeed in the fishing industry.
Yes.
He knows the deal, and he knows how to be successful. He does not need to fish another tournament the rest of his life if he doesn't want to.
But that brings up the point. What does he? I mean, well, if he was invited, I mean, he had an exemption this year. He could have done it.
Yeah, I don't know if he wants to.
I don't know if he wants to either. I know he wanted to focus on. Now we know he has a television show, but I know it came out, and I didn't get to watch it. It was on at a weird time. So
I heard something about it, but I completely forgot about it.
Oh, Booster says he doesn't think he's going back to the elites.
Huh. Oh, he said he would return if he gets through the opens.
And that makes sense. I would too. I think that. I mean, he had that exemption, but going in this way, I mean, he's only behind. He's 11 points behind Palaniuk right now in Northern Opens, and really, Palaniuk's already qualified for next year's elite, so he's really number 1 right on the list. So
that's awesome.
Good for him, man. Good for him. I want to see Jacob Prosnick back. That's all I care about right now. I love Jacob Prosnick.
There's a Prosnick in the NPFL. Is that his son or his nephew or his brother or anybody else?
Ryan, I think his name is.
Yeah, I don't know him. He's got to be related to Jacob. It's spelled the same way.
Yeah. I mean, how many Prosnicks are there, really?
Yeah, exactly.
It's spelled
especially
that way.
Fishing pro tournaments.
Yeah.
He's got to be related.
Okay, and then my last thing is, because I know you're a big baseball fan.
Yeah. I'm a baseball fan. I don't know how big.
You're not? I thought you were a baseball fan.
I am a baseball fan. I'm not. I'm a Royals fan. So how big of a fan can you be?
Yeah, I mean, it's like being a Tigers fan.
Right.
Derek Jeter got inducted in the Hall of Fame today.
Oh, great.
Which is fantastic. As someone who played shortstop, I love Derek Jeter. But my question, though, to you is, Alex.
It sounded like you said Derek Cheater.
Oh no, I didn't. I said Jeter. I did say it right. Somebody's texting me. What are your thoughts on Alex Rodriguez getting into the Hall of Fame with the makeup, everything that this man has done, J-Lo, all that stuff? Do you think Alex Rodriguez makes the Hall of Fame?
Of course he will. They love that kind of stuff, man. That makeup and all that stuff. That's no big deal.
But he was always. It was.
I don't know his stats. I don't know his stats well enough to know if he deserves to be in the Hall of Fame. I know he was quite the force when he played.
Really good ball player.
But I've heard critics on. I do listen to a lot of sports talk radio actually, and I've heard a lot of critics say Derek Jeter shouldn't be in the Hall of Fame.
No way.
Yes, I have heard that.
Says Derek Jeter shouldn't be in there.
I absolutely have heard that. Now, I don't know why. I can't tell you why.
Derek Jeter was unbelievable.
Yeah, I've heard I is just kind of mediocre.
Hold on. Now you got me. Now you got me. Hold on. Now you got me all. Hold on. Just how many women he slept with actually get him into the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he's definitely well known for that.
So this is horrible stats. Over 3,000 hits.
Yeah, that's pretty darn impressive.
Let's see. Not a real, he wasn't a real home run hitter, but he had 260. But I mean, the guy played 2,700 games.
That's impressive. That is impressive.
The
little B says A-Rod had 696 home runs.
Yeah, I mean, A-Rod's numbers are ridiculous. But this was my question about A-Rod. Is A-Rod went through that same thing of the doping schedule, Barry Bonds and some of these other guys because they were doping.
Yeah.
And for Alex Rodriguez, I think did that human hormone growth or H or whatever it was.
Yeah.
And I've always wondered someone who really loves, if you really love baseball, because I really love baseball too, but I mean, does Alex Rodriguez get in? Because I mean, I don't know. I mean, Alex Rodriguez stats are ridiculous.
Yeah, but I still think he doesn't have nearly the kind of stigma on him that, say, a McGuire or some of these other guys do, that were really, really juiced and had the home run records. And A-Rod is going to get in. I'll bet you he will. I bet he gets in. Yeah, Sosa was the other one that was just off the chart, incredible. And he was juiced up. The thing, we're going down a rabbit hole now, but steroids is such an interesting thing because I've seen some of these. Like I read a real interesting book about the Lance Armstrong thing and the whole steroids thing there. And, he won like 7 Tour de France's and he was apparently juiced up in all of them. And somehow there was a super elaborate scheme where he was able to fool the tests.
Yeah.
And he didn't test positive year after year after year. Well, apparently it's an entire industry. They're all, I don't want to make a blanket statement, but they're all juiced up, man. And when you listen to him talk, you think about it. The guy says, look, I've put my whole life in this career. This is my entire career. And I wouldn't juice, but all my competition is doing it. I can't compete. There's no way for me to compete fairly unless I do it. And that's hard to argue with that. Geez, man, if you want to do the right thing, you don't want to dope up and you can't compete.
So,
I mean, put it in the fishing terms. If there was some sort of super secret thing that Jacob Wheeler's putting into his body, that's making him win 3 tournaments a year, do you think other guys wouldn't be doing it if they could do it? You can get away with it. They absolutely would. Now there's some that probably wouldn't, but
most of them would. The way I look at it is as so one of my.
What about Pete Rose?
Oh my gosh, yes.
Do you think Pete Rose should be in the Hall of Fame?
So he gambled.
He absolutely should be in the Hall of Fame.
Michael Jordan gambled on games.
Yeah, he absolutely. He's one of the greatest baseball players of all time.
Exactly.
And what really burns me about that is, if you want to pretend that it has something to do with ethics, there are so many other players through all sports that have gotten into the Hall of Fame that have way worse ethics. And and it's not even like I'm a Pete Rose fan. I'm just saying, if you look at the body of work, he was a Hall of Fame baseball player. There is no question.
So I'm going to.
The juicing thing, active target is juicing. Live target is juicing. Active target is juicing. You might be right, Booster.
Booster's
And
dead
some
on.
of them are fusing the juice, and they're not winning.
I have my analogy of juicing in fishing. So I'm going to tell everybody here something that they probably I have never told anybody. I marinate every Cinco worm or 8-inch DOA worm in John Cox juice for 3 weeks before I put it on a lure.
All right, what's John Cox juice? Tell everybody what that is.
It's a scent that is that John makes. And
all right, where do you get it?
I know where I get it. Just go over to his house.
Man, Steve's admitting on air that he's a cheater.
He's
juicing.
I've been juicing for years. When I first met John, he had told me I'm coming out with this. I catch everything he does is every plastic he uses this. He makes this juice, and I'm like, well, I got to try it. You started selling it, and I was like. And he's like, look, this is how you got to do it, though. You got to put it in the bag, and you got to let it marinate. You can't just let it sit overnight. You got to let it needs to soak in. And I swear to you,
that's what Taku did, or whatever his name is, Taku Ito or whatever, who won the St. Lawrence River.
Yeah.
Soaked all of his baits in the juice.
Yeah. In fact, I'll tell another story. I went steelhead fishing out in Washington years ago. And I actually went into this bait store, and I said to the guy that was selling baits, I said, do you have any guides that are open? And that's the only reason I catch stings on my signals, probably.
You need to juice the general.
Tomorrow. Yeah. I'll take you fishing for $150. And I'm like, what? You're going to take me steelhead fishing for $150? He said, yeah. I said, okay, what do I need? He goes, you got to buy a license, and you got to use the bait I use. This guy, we got spamming guys, people up there. How do can we block that?
Yeah, I can block that user.
Yeah, that's horrible. I hate that. We get those comments all the time. So anyway, I show up the next morning. We start going fishing. He's got these giant shrimp. Now, you're steelhead fishing. They've never seen a 25 of 18-20 shrimp. Oh, said something went wrong. Reload.
Okay, I got them off now.
Okay. Anyway, so he shows up, and he has this whole like blood orange marinade that he puts these like shrimp cocktail in, and lets them soak for weeks. But as soon as it hit the water, it would start to disperse all the scent. But you got it down about 25 feet where the steelhead were. And the next
look at Chris's comment. You're right, Chris. I should say, man. Steve's saying he's using John Cox juice on air.
Okay, so I used to only call it Cox juice, just so I can be clear.
Oh, man.
I would say nonstop on the radio. You know, I got in trouble for it because they were like, look, you can't say Cox juice on the radio. I'm like, no, it's a product you can buy. So I'm allowed to say it. And our producer used to get wicked mad at me because I'd be like, does anyone know what's in Cox juice? And stuff like this. And all the innuendos. Anyway, these shrimp would get about 25 feet down. And if there was a steelhead underneath the boat, it thumped these things. And I was like, oh my gosh, this is the greatest marinade, whatever you're doing to these shrimp cocktails I've ever seen in my life.
Wow.
But it's the same thing with John Cox. I now that you got to say it, I wonder if you went to John, I'm going to John's website.
Yeah, go check that out. Where do we get the Cox juice?
You know, poor the other John Cox at NPFL is not doing it. You want to know what? I don't even think John has a website in. Hold on.
Hey, the Little B says Cox juice at Tackle Warehouse, $24.99.
Oh, really? Oopsie. Something happened to my. I can't see the stuff. Yeah, that's it. At Tackle Warehouse. Oh my gosh, it's $25 for 4 ounces.
Golly.
Why not? I will sell some of mine for $12 for 4 ounces because I have a case of it. I might have 2 cases of it.
You got an entire case, dude. You could get on the black market, the John Cox Juice black market.
It works. I'm not joking. It works. I don't have the small bottles. I have the big bottles.
Dang.
Yeah, it's wonderful.
What do you know?
I would send one to you, but I know it would break open, and then you'd be in trouble with every bait that was in there.
Yeah, for sure. I wonder who else uses the old John Cox juice on tour. Juicing their generals.
There's a few that use it. I actually thought that it had a tobacco in it, and that's what it was part of it. But he told me that. Well, he didn't confirm or deny that last time we talked. Great, it's a great attractant, and I have bags right now. I'm not joking.
Really?
Mm-hmm. I do.
Interesting.
So,
well, Berkeley also makes these containers, with liquid that you can put your baits in. The problem with marinating baits, though, is you got to use them pretty quick because it starts breaking them down, and
it does.
Your baits, so you could go through a lot of money worth of baits. You got to time that. You got to spread that out so that you don't waste a bunch of lures.
Yeah, this one doesn't really break them down that bad. He says it's 100% organic.
Okay.
Does that mean anything? I don't know. I just know that it works. That's all
I know. I know that Berkeley stuff. I've put soft plastics in there, and it's just eating them alive over time.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so what is happening on the channel? Because we only have a little bit of time left.
What's happening on the channel? Let's see here. What's happening on yours, and then I'll think about what's happening on mine here.
Yeah, I got it. You made me move my stuff over. Okay. I have been, I'll be honest, now that school's back in session, I went and did a bunch of closer looks.
Oh, okay.
I have that new, I think one of them that's going to come up is the new UV painted crankbait from Tight Lines called the ETAO, I think it's called, ITAO. I finished that one, and then there's a bunch of them from, I did the 10,000 Fish Headhunter because I've had it forever, and some Nori's Frogs that I finished finally. So now that I can get to the springs, I've been able to finally empty out the bin that's sitting over here that actually overfilled, and I had to get another bin because there were that many that I was working on that I didn't get the underwaters for. So a bunch of new closer looks that are going to come out, and then this, everybody else doesn't know this. We'll get our Monster Bass box in the next week or so. We should probably get our Bass Baits Monthly. I am sticking with Bass Baits Monthly and Florida Tackle Club, and I have officially canceled Monster Bass as of ago. I don't know when I told you. Was it been a couple weeks?
Wow. Yep, couple weeks. Yep.
So there'll be a video about that too at some point. I just need to write stuff down.
I got a video that I'm premiering Friday night. It's a 35-minute long video, so that's pretty long for me. Mm-hmm. And it's my best wiggle wart alternatives out there. So I'm really into wiggle warts, as you can see. I got a ton of them hanging behind me here. And these all hanging up here are all original pre-Rapala wiggle warts. I got hundreds of them, and they're very pricey. And there's a lot of guys there's a lot of guys who would like to fish wiggle warts, but they don't want to spend the money. So I got a whole video showing you of a bunch of different crankbaits you could buy that were modeled after the wiggle wart that have tried to they've been trying to copy the wiggle wart, and it's not exactly the same as fishing a wiggle wart, but I had a lot of fun doing it. A lot of fun getting kind of into the details on that. So some people would hate that. Some others that are really into tackle, I think, will like that video quite a bit.
Do you show the action of the wiggle wart versus the other ones?
Nope, I don't do that. There are a couple other channels out there. You can go watch that if you want. I just show you the actual lures, and I kind of show you some of the things as it relates to colors. There are some very specific wiggle wart colors that are very popular, and there's a lot of copycats out there.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of fun going over. I'm also I also got another backpack tackle fishing backpack review that's coming out, and of course, all my monthly subscription boxes are going to start coming in this week, so I'll be doing some of those. And then I've got some Catchco baits that I'm going to be doing videos on. And I bought a ton of tackle at Tackle Warehouse and other places during the Labor Day sales. And I'm going to be doing a massive unboxing video of all that stuff when it gets in.
Nice.
Really cool stuff. I got some cool stuff coming.
You are the king.
That's right. Right on.
I'm going to be living through you with subscription tackle boxes here soon.
You may as well. Why waste the money?
And let me just say how insane, because we talked about this, and I talked to Vic about this afterwards. The Florida Tackle Club box you got the other day is the greatest subscription box of all time.
Amazing. It's insane. I don't know how he does it. It's crazy.
You got an $85 value out of that box.
I know it. Yeah,
how is that possible?
I don't know. I was asking you. I was like, how in the world does he do it and make any money? It's a good deal. He made money on that box. That's crazy. He's got some connections. He's definitely got some connection. That's all I can say. It's amazing. It's really cool.
Yeah, that box with that lure, that swim bait lure, and the other things was just like I texted him and said I want the same thing.
Sweet.
I did. That's the God's honest truth. I texted him. I said I just want the same thing as Mr. Bass, and he's like, I can't do that one. I don't know what he said because I didn't get one last month for a bunch of reasons.
Yeah,
not my reasons. By the way, but you know, he was we postponed mine because he has a game plan for me, because there's and I appreciate that other people want the same box as me. I appreciate that. So there's a bunch of people that want the same box, so he wants to get me in line with everybody else. I guess that's the best way to put it.
Mm-hmm.
But your box was just insane. I watched that video and I was like, I really did. I texted him. I was like, I can't believe you did this. and then we talked to each other, and I was like, dude, what you did there was unbelievable.
It was unbelievable. So he's hard to beat. Florida Tackle Club, that's a hard one to beat. And Bass Baits Monthly's trying hard to do it. And really, I've been really pretty happy with Catchco with those lately, and the Champions Clubs have been pretty good. I don't know though how you can boy. If you're one of these guys that obviously doesn't buy 30 subscription boxes a month, you can only buy one. There's a handful, 2 or 3 that are out there that are just knocking it out of the park, and you know.
Yeah, Bass Baits Monthly has been really, really good. Like
they really have been good.
And honestly, that Major League Fishing, if they throw in one of those Missouri lures every month, that is worthwhile.
Yeah,
that the whole box.
Yeah, the Yo-Zuri products are very good.
Yeah,
And
and I think Mystery Tackle Box is right up there too. And then you get the third tier starting from there down in a
yeah,
lot of cases.
yeah.
Yeah, like I said, I got rid of Monster Bass. I know, they're not going to be happy with it, but I just had to look at it a different way finally. And you have heard my frustrations for months on
Yep.
Monster
Yeah,
Bass,
I
and
definitely heard that.
finally it really sunk in, and canceling wasn't as easy as I thought, and I still get 2 months, but
Yeah, well, I mean, you want you like Rick. You want Rick's company to be successful.
yeah,
It's not like you're wishing him any bad luck.
no,
It's
no,
just
I'm not.
it's just not for you right now.
Yeah,
And this is true. A lot of these boxes, they kind of go in cycles where there's times when it just seems like they really shine, and then there's times when maybe not so much. That's kind of what blows me away so far with Bass Baits Monthly and Florida Tackle Club. I haven't seen any of those downs yet.
no,
Um, and you anticipate that. I mean, Lucky is off the charts down. They're in the bottom of the curve right now.
mhm.
Uh, and Warriors is probably not much better, and there's maybe a few others kind of that way. So,
Yeah,
anywho, man, we're out of time. We've already hit 2 hours.
yeah. Well, next week an interview.
Yeah. Next week an interview.
Yeah, we'll get back to interviews, and we'll try to keep those up as much as possible.
A lot of the BASS guys are wrapping up, so maybe we can start getting some of them on, and then Major League Fishing guys got one last tournament to go.
Yeah, that's this weekend. Starts, I think, in 2 days.
Yeah. Oh, there's our webcam is back.
Oh,
Blocked.
yeah, block them.
All right. Well, thanks everybody for hopping on the channel, and please hit that like button. Likey the like. That helps us, and YouTube likes it when you like the like.
Yes, and
So
subscribe.
subscribe.
To both channels.
Yeah, heck yeah.
Yeah.
And
how hard is it?
It's not that hard, actually. It's pretty
It
easy.
really isn't.
All right. Thanks everybody for spending your night with us. And Steve, you want to wrap us up?
Yep. Take a kid fishing, get your fish on, and have a good night. And
Bye-bye.
later.
See ya.